Hey, good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Here, of course, to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I'll tell you who's coming up on the show. But first of all, good morning. Thank you for joining me. If you are watching this after the fact, if you're watching this other than, say, 8:45-ish Wednesday morning, thank you. I do appreciate that. What are these texts coming in? Okay, that one I don't need to read. Okay. Anyway, it is getting to be almost mid-March. What do they call this? The Ides of March. St. Patty's Day coming up here in just a few days. I will embrace the Irish in my background. I will disregard the English. I will disregard the German and embrace the Irish. I do like Guinness. Anyway, how are you? I do appreciate you joining me on this edition of Behind the Mic. I also do, by the way, weekly live streams every Wednesday night. We call those Wednesday Night Live. How original is that? Corey, good morning. How are you? Always a pleasure to have you along with us. Hey, Bernie, how are you? Ross, my good friend, Florida was amazing. Weather was beautiful. We did bring back some warm weather. Thank you, Ross and Ramona. We do appreciate that so very much that you were able to bring something back with you this time. Also, Ross, I forgot to ask you this. Will you guys be joining us for our Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack Restaurant with your good friend, our good mutual friend, Emil Rousseau? It is Wednesday, April 23rd, at the at the Lumberjack. Reservations are now open. 989-343-0892. 989-343-0892. Tommy, good morning. Always a pleasure. How are you? Craig Plowman, one of the truly nice people on the earth these days. Craig Plowman. Of course, I got a lot of good friends who are really, truly great people. And brother-in-law, but he's like a brother. Uncle Johnny, how you doing this morning, buddy? Say hi to Aunt Debbie for me. Bud, good morning. Tim Binns, I know that you and Jen will be joining us. Bruce, good morning. Ross is going to be there. Jason Graham, if you want to book a walleye fishing trip on Saginaw Bay, or in fact a salmon trip later in the year over on Lake Michigan, here's one of your guys right here. You're looking at him right there. Jason Graham, Captain Jason Graham of Send It Charters, senditcharters.com. He works out of the Linwood Beach Marina, linwoodbeachmarina.com. This guy knows how to troll. He knows the ins and outs of trolling. He's got it dialed in. He's very scientific, very specific. I call him a the walleye technician. Check out his Facebook page. Check out his website. And Jason's going to be on the water here. Well, look, I did thumbs up, so Facebook caught me. Jason will be on the water here very, very soon. Tony, my fellow skinny water rat, how are you, Tony? How long before you get your boat out? It's going to be a while before I get my boat out because I don't have my new Angler Quest yet. But when I get it, it'll be on the water, and I'll be up in there in that skinny water with you, Tony. Corey, I'll be in Grand Rapids with Outdoor Driven for the show. If anyone wants to say hi, support veterans and first responders, thank you for that, Corey. Thank you for your service. Tommy, getting cameras moved around for turkeys, getting excited for the turkey season. Good morning, Tim. How are you? Yes, absolutely. Craig says, is it too early to look at Wind Finder to check the bay wind speed and direction? It's never too early. Craig's anxious too. Dave, good morning. How are you? My name is Mike Avery. This is Behind the Mic. I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. And again, I don't want to tease you too much, but I'll tell you who's coming up in just a couple of minutes. First of all, a few things I want to talk about. The red-winged blackbirds are indeed back on the pond behind the house. Last Wednesday, I sat in the studio and said, we don't have any red-winged blackbirds yet, but I expect them any time. I got home. I was walking out to the end of the driveway, and I thought I heard a red-winged blackbird, but it was real windy, and I couldn't catch that sound again. Thursday morning, I go outside. I look back there, and there's red wings all over the place, red-winged blackbirds. Not red-winged not the Red Wings, not like the Steve Yzerman Red Wings, but Red Wing Blackbirds. So the Red Wing Blackbirds are indeed back. I love that. I love the sound of them. Along with the Red Wing Blackbirds, of course, are those big flying rats known as Canada geese. Not Canadian geese, because they're not citizens of Canada. They're Canada geese. And I hate them with a passion. And I'm very disappointed that you waterfowl hunters didn't thin their ranks out more last fall, because they're gross, they're messy, they're territorial, they're obnoxious, and I hate everything about them. And I never used to feel that way, but that's the way I feel about them now. Okay. Lee, good morning. How are you? Randy and you will be there. Excellent. I'll look forward to it. Jim, good morning. Bernie's seeing lots of mourning doves already. I wonder why. I mean, they migrate, don't they? I don't think, are they here all winter? Remind me. I honestly don't know the answer on that one. Okay. I just got news this morning as I was here in the studio, an email from the Michigan DNR that the first case of CWD confirmed has been found in Washtenaw County. It was, well, in fact, I'll read you the news release right here. It was a buck. Washtenaw is now the 15th Michigan county where CWD has been identified in the wild deer population. An adult buck found acting ill in Salem Township has tested positive for CWD. So add one more. Tim, Sandhill showed up Monday. Not sure if that means, I think it does, Tim. I think it does. I heard my first Sandhills Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday. So yeah, I think that's certainly a sign of spring. Absolutely. Not the definitive sign that Red Wings are, and not the, I'd put the return of Sandhills just about on par with dead skunks in the road in the hierarchy of springtime. Hey, good morning, Steve. How are you? Steve, there was something I wanted to tell you. This is not what I wanted to talk about, Steve, but Steve, being a fellow Trinity brother, reminds me. I do, for anybody who knew him, Pastor Sherry, who was our pastor at Trinity for 20 years, and he left about 4 years ago now. He passed away last Saturday. So those of you who know that family, prayers, condolences. He was a really fun guy. He could be cranky. He'd be the first person to admit it, but he was a good man, and he will be missed. Mitchell, good morning. How are you? Randy, always a pleasure. Rob Sador checking in from White River, Ontario, Canada. Which leads me into my list of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, because Charlie Wiltsey is on the show this week. And Charlie, a friend of mine who just got back from White River on a wolf hunt. He was hunting with Pete Jones. I had earlier, I'd hunted wolves with Pete before as well and taken a wolf there. So the rundown for this week's show, Amy Trotter, Executive Director of MUCC, joins me. The MUCC convention was last weekend. By the way, thank you, MUCC, for honoring me with Conservation Communicator of the Year award. It is truly one of the most significant awards I've ever received, and it really means a lot. So thank you, MUCC, for that. We will talk about the convention. We will talk about MUCC's stance on certain issues. They took the votes at the convention and more. And then Charlie Wiltsey talks about his wolf hunt. If you want to piss people off on Facebook, post pictures of a dead wolf in a hunter's arms. A legally killed wolf held legally by a smiling hunter. You want to get the antis riled up, especially the antis in the UK? Post a picture of a dead wolf. Second only to that would be post pictures of a dead bear. The anti-hunters become apoplectic and they come out of their minds. In our second hour, Russ Clark of Seahawk Charters talks about early season fishing on the St. Joe, also Southern Lake, Michigan. And then Neil Godby of the DNR with an update on the progress of the Michigan Sturgeon Restoration Program. The Ask Avery segment was going to be a follow up on efforts to get the three rod trolling restrictions for Great Lakes anglers lifted. I'm going to have to hold off for next week on that. And then in our third hour, Chris Durson of Rapid River Knives talks about a new lineup of knives that they have coming out. Also, much Art, I got Art running back and forth to the door. Chris Durson of Rapid River Knives. Then Dave Miner, Dixie Dave Miner. Okay, so let me go back to my comments here. Tracy, good morning. How are you? Mickey, always a pleasure. Hello, John. Robert checking in from the Eastern UP. I found it interesting, Rob. Robert or Rob? I'm going to call you Rob. When I left my house in central Michigan, there was no snow to be found. I mean, it looked like springtime. The MUCC convention was in Gaylord at Treetops at the ski resort there. When we got about to West Branch, there was a Grayling. There was a little bit of snow on the ground. When we got to Gaylord, it was still full blown winter. I mean, spring was in the air, but it snowed that night, and there was a lot of snow. You folks in Gaylord got pounded. So I suspect the UP even more so. Ken, good morning. How are you? Always a pleasure, Ken. Thinking about your family a lot lately. How are they doing? Thank you, Bernie. Appreciate that. I know, Jim, the Red Wing Blackbirds are back. They showed up at my place on Wednesday, so they're back at your place Sunday morning. Mad Jack almost missed it, but you didn't, buddy. Corey Phillips, only a few short weeks to the start of the Michigan Walleye Tour season, the season. The first one's on the Detroit River, if I remember correctly. Let's go cheer on boat number 76. It will be easy for me, Corey, to cheer on boat number 76 because 76 is the year I graduated from high school, the bicentennial year. Good luck, boat number 76. Posting such pictures makes you want to block a bunch of people. And I did. And I do. And it makes me want to punch people. It makes me realize how stupid some people can be. Not us hunters and anglers and shooters and trappers, but the antis. Beverly checking in from Florida. How are things going? John Rhines, Walleye for Warriors boat captain's registration is now open. We need more to hit our goal of veteran sign up April 1st. Thank you, John, for that reminder. That is on my list. The website is walleyesforwarriors.com.org. Let me check here real quick. Walleyesforwarriors.org. Walleyes for Warriors. Now, technically, there's no such word as walleyes. The plural for walleyes is walleye. And I know you get me sick of hearing me say that. Walleyesforwarriors.org and sign up to be a boat captain. Walleyesforwarriors.org. I am not a boat captain, but I will be involved in that event. Vince, good morning. Robert says, lots of snow, but the gobblers are gobbling even in the snow. Rico, how have you been? I miss seeing your pictures, Rico. What's up? Are you fishing? Or you're just fishing not as publicly as you were before. Rico, I have much respect for you, as you know. Rico is one of the best urban anglers you'll ever meet. And I miss seeing your pictures, buddy. Please send them to me. Let me post them. Flint River's been producing for me as far as walleye. Everybody out, I've gotten them, so can't complain. Every time out, I've gotten them, so can't complain. Ken says, family doing well. Thoughts, prayers? Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. Org, yep, got it. Hunters will survive. The antis, not so much. More low-key. I don't blame you, Rico. I don't blame you. Why bring all that attention to your fishing hole and what you're doing? Okay, also on my list. Oh, more big news. Speaking of Washtenaw County CWD, this has not been officially confirmed by the DNR as of now, but I suspect by the weekend it will be. Mountain lion, it wouldn't be a cub, but would it be kittens? Kittens. Um, Two of them have been found in the UP. I say this with some conviction because I have talked to some of the people who have seen them, and I've seen pictures. Now, unless the wool is being pulled over my eyes, which is always possible, but I don't think that's the case. In fact, I was told by a very reliable source that a DNR wildlife biologist was out there investigating this, and I don't think he can come to any other conclusion other than we now have a breeding population of mountain lions in the UP. Does this change things? I mean, I suspect it does because for so many years the DNR has been saying we do not have a breeding population of puma cougar mountain lion in the UP. And I think they say that because once you have an established population that is breeding, things change. I think that's the case. So I think they've been reluctant to say that in the past, but if this gets confirmed, as I think it will be, and this is in Ontonagon County, I don't think they will be able to deny this any longer. We'll see. We'll see. Let me go back to some comments. Captain JT got signed up for Walleye for Warriors. Very excited about it. JT's one of the good guys. Good morning, JT. How are you? Robert says he has personally seen mountain lion tracks in the eastern UP. Jerry, good morning. How are you? Going back to some of the things on my list, MUCC convention was wonderful. They gave me a very nice award. Thank you for that. It was a very interesting exercise. The whole convention was in conservation and getting involved. Mike Smith of Offshore Account, how you doing, buddy? Mike, another fine, very fine Saginaw Bay walleye charter captain. Really a good guy, good stick. He's down on Lake Erie right now. I mean, not necessarily right now, but he's fishing. Hey, Charlie, how are you? He's fishing down on Lake Erie. As the season progresses and he gets back to Saginaw Bay, I will more than likely see him off my bow or stern, or he will see me off his bow or stern in the skinny water because he likes skinny water too. He spends more time out there than I do, so I use him as a resource. He might say that I follow him around trolling, which is it's not inaccurate, but it's not accurate either. Ken, Missouri said the same thing, reported a cougar roadkill. They refused to believe me. 2 years later, Missouri admitted, yes, Missouri has cougars. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate that. I'm anxious to get out there too. Since I will not have my Angler Quest for some time, and that's understandable, I want Brad Dupuis, Mr. Angler Quest, to have the opportunity to make as many boats as he can to get him out there into the market. I might be relying on you, Mike Smith, or Jason Graham, or any of my other, I'm sorry, I was sidetracked thinking about something else. Jason Graham or Mike Smith or any of my other friends who are captains to get me out there. Or this guy right here, Scott Hand. He bought one of my old Angler Quest boats. He's an excellent troller. His boat's coming out of hibernation. Retirement is good. I might have to get in touch with you. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Okay. The golf outing is a go for Friday, July 25th. The website will be live by this weekend. mucc.org/golf if you want to sign up for that. Walleye for Warriors website is ready to go. Walleye for Warriors, walleyesforwarriors.org. Mike Smith, sunny days and skinny water. Here before we know it. I know it. It's coming. It's coming. What else? We kick off, we're a week late, but we kick off the Ham for the Holidays, the Lenten version, the Lent version for Lent tonight. Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand will join me for a few minutes to kick that off, and we will give away tonight on Wednesday Night Live at 7 o'clock Michigan brand ham for Lent, and we will also give away a $25 gift card for the Lumberjack restaurant that you can use for our Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack coming up Wednesday, April 23rd. Call now for reservations 989-343-0892, 989-343-0892. Captain Jim, how you doing, buddy? It was nice running into you. Where were we at? Dunham's? Always a pleasure. 30 seconds. Jonathan Dent. You know, the guy, he's a slave driver. He's a young guy and he's very talented. He's a go-getter, and I respect everything about that, except he's a slave driver. He's smiling.
I don't make the times, I just enforce them.
He said, I didn't invent time. I just enforce it. Oh, and
5,
4.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, I'm working with a new clock. Trying to go. All right, go. Shoot, I didn't want to do that. How does this clock work? Hold on a second.
Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has been
Go.
in the outdoors in Michigan for more than
Go.
4 decades.
All right, there we go. I'm going to be about 30 seconds behind, John.
Brought to you by Jay's Sporting
Okay, my friends, I got to go. I got to go work. Go to work. You can't call it work, right? But I will be back tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. I hope you can join me then.
drives and equipment.
I'm curious how this music bed plays out.
Works. And by Michigan Brand.
All right, my friends, have a good day. I got to go.
Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And so glad to have you along with us. That work out, John? Worked out pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anyway, welcome to another edition of the show. So glad to have you along with us as we continue to work our way through the springtime season. It's interesting, though, at my place in central Michigan, it looks like springtime, right? There's no snow around. It looks like springtime. But I had to make a trip. Well, I didn't have to. I made a trip a little bit north last weekend, and we were up in Gaylord at the Treetops Resort. More on that coming up. But, man, I could not believe how much snow. This is last weekend. They still had in Gaylord. I mean, you folks really must have gotten dumped on last winter because there was still a lot of snow on the ground. And if it looks like that in Gaylord, I can't even imagine what parts of the UP look like. So when you hear me talking about springtime and how nice it is and yada, yada, you must be about ready to shoot daggers at me because you're thinking, Avery, you're wrong. In my backyard, it's not like that. And I get that, okay? I get that. But just take solace in the fact that it's coming. It's coming, all right? It's on the way. And how do I know that? Because the red-winged blackbirds are back on the pond behind the house. When I was in the studio last week, in fact, it was Wednesday, I said they're not back, but I feel like they're coming back anytime. I get home from the studio, I go out in the driveway, and I hear, I'm like, what is that? I think that's the sound of a red-winged blackbird. But I couldn't pick it up again. It was real windy, and I couldn't get another sound like that. I go outside Thursday morning, and they were all over the place. All over the place. I love that sound. I love to see those birds. To me, it is the true sign that spring is just around the corner, and they're back on the pond behind the Avery house. So we're almost there. You know what, unfortunately, is also back? Those big flying rats. You might call them geese. You might call them Canadian geese, but they're not. They're Canada geese. I wish they'd all go to Canada and become Canadian geese. I've never disliked geese before, but I dislike them now. They're loud, they're obnoxious, they're dirty, they're aggressive. They're just, maybe if you had just a couple of them, but you can never have just a couple of geese. Because if you have a couple, then you're going to have a bunch, and then you're going to have a whole bunch, and then you're going to be overrun. If they would just stay on the pond, I would have minimal problems with them. But they won't stay on the pond. That's going to be an ongoing saga here over the next several for several weeks. I know it is. What else wildlife-wise? Well, Washtenaw County. In fact, I'll read you part of the news release for the DNR. I just got it as I'm here in the studio. Washtenaw is now the 15th Michigan county where CWD has been identified in the wild deer population. An adult buck found acting ill in Salem Township recently tested positive for CWD. So there's one more added to the list. Also, speaking of wildlife, and this is, as I am here in the studio, this has not been confirmed by the DNR. I suspect it will be, possibly by the time you hear this radio show, because I'm hearing about it from what I consider to be very reliable sources. I have seen pictures that I believe to be legitimate. I've talked to the people who have taken those pictures and seen this. If the wool is being pulled over my eyes, I apologize, but I feel like this is real, so I'm going to tell you what I think is going to be happening here. In Ontonagon County, the locals have found a couple of cougar, puma, mountain lion. They're not cubs. What are they? Kittens, and taken pictures of them and posted them all over the place. Originally, the DNR seemed reluctant to come out and investigate. Either, maybe they were tied up on something else or what. I don't know the background there. But I was told by a very reliable source that a DNR wildlife biologist was out there and did investigate. I don't know what they will officially find, but it seems pretty clear that the finding is, unless somebody is pulling a big prank here, and those things happen, it looks like we now have a breeding population of mountain lions in the Upper Peninsula. Is that significant? I think so. Because in the past, the DNR has always been very careful to say, yes, we have mountain lions in the UP, but we don't have a breeding population of mountain lions. So apparently, there is something in that terminology of breeding population that takes the situation to the next level. And I'm not sure what that is. I don't know all the subtleties. I don't know the nuances. I don't know the details on that. I'll have to look into it further. But I think when you acknowledge there's a breeding population of a certain species, then it goes to the next level, is the way I'm taking this. And maybe by this weekend it'll be confirmed. If not, it's certainly something to keep an eye on. I feel like it's legit. I feel like it's the real deal. Okay, I told you that I made a trip north. For me, it's north. It might be south for you. Last week to Gaylord. I went to Treetops Resort for the annual MUCC convention. I was there because they honored me. They gave me an award, a Conservation Communicator of the Year. Very nice award. And I got to be honest, of all the accolades and awards and achievements over the years, this one is one of the best, if not the best. That means the most to me because I have much respect for MUCC, and for them to honor me in this way, thank you. It does indeed mean a lot. And to be at that convention and watch the process about how MUCC comes up with their policies and votes on their different policies and comes up with the blueprint, the plan for MUCC for the next year is pretty interesting. There are some pretty spirited, pretty lively debates, but yet they all come to a consensus at the end and agree on how to move forward. Very, very interesting. By the way, at that convention, I had to speak a couple of times. Once when I got my award, then the next morning. And when I spoke on Sunday morning, I talked about my respect for MUCC's process of being a grassroots organization. And I believe this. If you are a member of MUCC, you can bring an idea forward and see if it'll fly. Well, I did that a few years ago with my idea that I think there should be no restriction on Great Lakes trolling anglers. We shouldn't be limited to 3 rods. I believe you should run as many rods as you are able to, because the resource is protected by laws. Let's say on Saginaw Bay, you can catch 8 fish of 13 inches. Doesn't matter how many rods you run, right? 8 fish a day, 13-inch size limit. So the resource, the fish are protected. Why does it matter how many rods? Anyway, I snuck that into my remarks, hoping maybe to grease the skids a little bit. Also, along that line, we talked about the golf outing that I started last year along with MUCC to benefit at MUCC's youth camp. As you are hearing this radio show, the website to sign up is now open. It's mucc.org/golf, and that is Friday, July 25th at the West Branch Country Club in beautiful West Branch. Friday, July 25th. Go to mucc.org/golf to sign up for that. Wednesday Night Live. We are now in the season of Lent, so we are doing another ham for the holidays, the Lenten version, with Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats. If you tune in to Wednesday Night Live every Wednesday night now through Easter, we will be giving away a Michigan brand ham. Also, giving away a $25 gift card to the Lumberjack Restaurant now through Easter. Why are we doing that? Because coming up Wednesday, April 23rd, whatever the first Wednesday is after Easter, we're going to do a Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack Restaurant. You can call for reservations, 989-343-0892, 989-343-0892. Also, the Walleye for Warriors website is open if you want to sign up to become a boat captain. Walleyesforwarriors.org, walleyesforwarriors.org. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, after the break, Amy Trotter, Executive Director of MUCC, will join me to talk about convention and what came out of that. Then Michigan hunter Charlie Wilsey, who traveled to Ontario and shot a wolf, will tell his story of that hunt in hour number two, early season trolling and also river fishing down in St. Joe with Russ Clark of Seahawk Charters. Neil Godby of the DNR talks about the Sturgeon Restoration Program. And in hour number 3, Chris Durson of Rapid River Knives. And, of course, we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. That's coming up this week right here on Outdoor Magazine. All right, my friends, some of you got in comments here when I was talking on the air. I could not see you.
Is a valuable tool.
Irene is gone. Not that I mind being called handsome, but when you come on with a comment about hi, handsome, yeah, you're pretty much gone. Dan, good morning. Kevin, yes. Yes, I have followed it, and I just talked about it. You may have heard me talk about it. DNR asking not to feed. I didn't know anything about that, Mickey. I will look into it more. Irene, Block. Okay. Justin, good morning. Thank you. Johnny, Outdoor Conquest. Good morning. Had a great Josh Mapes. Excellent. Josh, great guy. All right, my friends, have a good day. I will be back here tonight for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. That's at 7 o'clock. Hopefully you will join me. In the meantime, have a wonderful day.